Hey guys, welcome back to the Japan Archives. It's another bonus episode we've got for you. So it's something nice and short as usual. We're gonna quickly go back to the ninja. One ninja in particular called Kashin Koji. I found him mentioned in one random book that I have. I'm gonna quickly ask you, Heather, if you know anything about this guy.
I know nothing except you mentioned to me before, and we've been trying to record this episode for a while, and I'm super excited to find out.
Let's jump into it then. Like I said, a nice and short bonus one. So Kashin Koji, he was said to have been a ninja, but also a magician, and he was born around 1524. So this man also went by another name of Shippo Gyoja, which we can translate into something like Pilgrim of the Seven Treasures. The Pilgrim, I think, is part of the Gyoja name, similar to when we did Enno Ozunu or Enno Gyoja, because he was also went by the Pilgrim name. His ancestry is unfortunately not known to us, but when there are portrayals of him that have been done, we can often find him shown as a man wearing robes with white hair. So I suppose an elderly man is portrayed in artwork.
That sounds really interesting because in a lot of, was it Western literature, that usually magician has like long white hair and robes. I'm thinking of, oddly enough, a Disney movie, is it Sword in the Stone, where the magician actually,
Merlin.
yeah, it's Merlin. He has like the white hair
Oh
and the
yeah,
white
the
beard.
very stereotypical magician appearance. I hadn't thought about that last time I read it. So maybe there's the same imagery both in Japan and in the West, perhaps. So as he grew up in his childhood, he grew up on a mountain known as Mount Koya. When he was there, he studied Shingon esoteric Buddhism. Weirdly enough about that, because this bonus has been postponed for so long, the Shingon esoteric Buddhism was founded by someone we recently mentioned. Funnily enough, it was founded by the man known as Kukai, who is supposed to have wrote the Iroha poem. Callback to Iroha and dragonflies. So yeah, it's kind of cool that we pushed it back.
And I saw red dragonflies this past weekend.
Oh, you did?
I did. I did. I was so excited. So, call back to episode 48.
So as he's growing up as part of this Buddhist sect, it is during this time that he starts to become interested in magic. And unfortunately, his delving into the occult actually found him exiled from the Shingon sect. After that, he became a wanderer of sorts and would go around Japan performing different magic shows for people. After a while, he decided to live in the area near the lake of Sarusawa. And Lake Sarusawa, I checked, and is on the edge of Nara Park, so quite close to Todaiji Temple. Now, as a magician, what kind of tricks did he did? From what I read, some of his tricks involved throwing leaves into the lake, which would then transform themselves into fish, as well as the ability to make people believe they were holding ghost stones in their hands when they actually weren't. And in case you're wondering what a ghost stone is like a small circular pebble type stone, which is used as part of a board game in Japan. So Kashin's powers naturally grew. Over time, he becomes more and more adept in his magical abilities, and I suppose such became his fame that he eventually found himself not only performing, but also attempting to use his powers to scam those of high rank in Japanese society. Now, one of Kashin's possessions, I'm not sure how he came across this, but it was known as a Hell Scroll. The one in question that he had was full of magical power, and the pictures upon it would actually move. Due to its, I suppose you could say, rarity, in that it was a moving picture scroll, the Lord Oda Nobunaga, so the man who began to attempt the unification of Japan, he actually wished to have this scroll for himself. And after several negotiations, including an attempt on Kashin's life, he finally bought the scroll off the man for 100 ryo. And from what I can tell, back in the day, 100 ryo was quite a hefty sum of money. So Kashin hands over the scroll. However, Oda Nobunaga finds that the magic that was upon it has been lost, and the pictures no longer move. Oda Naga was a little bit angry at the time, but Kashin merely explained to him that, of course, this scroll is priceless. It's full of magic. It no longer moves because it's now only worth 100 ryo. It's only worth what you paid for it. You've made it go from being priceless to being 100 ryo, so the magic stopped working. Now Nobunaga, though disappointed at this, did actually let Kashin go and did not try to kill him. I suppose he believed in what he was being told and that at the time it made sense to him, I suppose.
Or he was so impressed by the man's wit that he was like, you know what, you could just go. That I got you. You're clever.
Yeah, you tricked me good. You can go. Now, moving on a little bit into 1582, we finally see Kashin was actually arrested for vagrancy, but they did allow him out for a small amount of time so that he could attend and entertain the people at a dinner party for a man known as Akechi Mitsuhide. Now, Akechi Mitsuhide is the man who assassinated Oda Nobunaga. Now, during this dinner party, Kashin managed to escape, again by using his magical abilities. There was a folding screen apparently at the tea party, and so using his magic upon it, he managed to transform the image upon it. And the image in question was a lake with boats on it. So using his magic, he caused the water in the boat to become real, and they flooded out of the folding screen and flooded the party. And so what Kashin did, he managed to grab hold of the boat that came out of the folding screen, climb upon it, and use the boat to row away in the flood. And after the magic had worn off, the room again became completely dry as if there had never been a flood.
Was there perhaps sake served at this party?
I am going to assume there was a lot of sake at this party, which is how he could get away with making them believe that he did some kind of magic on them at the place. So, moving on a little bit in his life, he comes into contact with Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who was the successor to Nobunaga. And Toyotomi invites him to give him his fortune, as in fortune telling, not a large sum of gold. Now, the fortune Kashin tells him is a rather embarrassing one, which enrages Toyotomi, forcing Kashin to turn himself into a mouse so that he can try to flee, as Toyotomi at the time, due to being embarrassed, tries to kill the man with his own bare hands. Now, as I've said, he does manage to escape in the form of a mouse. We are kind of unsure about how his life did end. There are some who say that he was assassinated in 1584 after Toyotomi tried to hunt him down. But there is also a book called the Korochawa, which says that he met with Tokugawa Ieyasu in 1612, where Ieyasu asked the man his age, and he said he was 88 at the time. And that's all I can tell you about the magician known as Kashin Koji.
I do have a question. Why was he a ninja? Was he trained as a ninja?
Now, the thing is, the book I found this man mentioned in is a book which is called Ninja Attack. However, several people in the book aren't necessarily ninja. Some are samurai, some are merely outlaws. I think at times the name of the book is a bit of a misnomer, unfortunately. I would say, though, that we haven't really talked about or seen any ninja training or that he was associated with any of the clans. However, you could say, I suppose, that his ability to always manage to get away from these predicaments was very ninja-like. Like, he had great skill in hiding and fleeing and trickery, like you said before. So I suppose in that regard, you could still call him, well, ninja-esque, I'll say.
Well, cool. Thank you so much, Thomas. I am so glad to hear this story.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, but yes, that is all I can really say about him for now, unless I somehow manage to come across something else which talks about him again, but I think that might be highly unlikely. Yeah, in essence, that is everything I have for our bonus today. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this 11th bonus episode, and we'll catch you in the next main episode. Matane!
Matane.